The doctors said he'd never father a child, so the ruthless, impotent Korean crime lord stopped being careful, until one reckless night, with a fearless Tanzanian dancer, proved them all wrong. Now she's carrying the impossible baby that's turned them both into targets, locked in his bulletproof penthouse, while his enemies circle like sharks. Because in his world, the woman carrying your miracle isn't your blessing, she's the weakness that gets you killed. And when armed men break through his defenses, screaming threats about killing his heir, she's got seconds to decide if she'll die protecting a monster's heir or become a monster herself. By the way, family, if you enjoy these stories and want to support the channel, you can join as a member or send a super thanks, totally optional. Your support helps me post more for you. The bass from the speakers made the champagne glasses shake on every table. Rain hammered against the tall windows of Velvet Nights, the most expensive gentlemen's club in California. Thursday night meant the place was packed with men in expensive suits, all pretending they came here for the drinks. Kang Dae-jung walked through the front door like he owned the place. In a way, he did. He owned half the businesses on this street, though most people didn't know it. His black suit was perfectly pressed, his dark hair was slicked back. His face showed nothing, no smile, no frown, just cold and empty like always. He wasn't here for entertainment. He was here for business. Some idiot owed him money and wanted to meet here instead of Dae-jung's office. Fine. He would collect his payment, then leave. But then the lights dimmed. Red and purple colours washed across the stage. Music started playing, something with drums that made your heart beat faster. And she walked out. Dae-jung stopped moving. He actually stopped walking right in the middle of the club and just stared. She was beautiful. Not the quiet, delicate kind of beautiful. She was bold beautiful, powerful beautiful. Her skin was smooth and dark like rich chocolate. Her body had curves that made his mouth go dry. She wore something sparkly and tiny that caught the lights. Her hair was natural and wild around her face, but what really got him was the way she moved. She didn't dance like she was nervous or trying too hard. She danced like the stage belonged to her, like every person watching should feel lucky to see her. Her hips rolled slowly, her body bent and curved like water. She was fearless. Then she looked right at him. Their eyes met across the smoky room, brown eyes locked with dark brown eyes. Everything else disappeared. The music kept playing, but Dae-jung couldn't hear it anymore. People kept moving, but he only saw her. She smiled, not a shy smile, a knowing smile, like she could see right through his expensive suit and cold face to something underneath. Dae-jung felt his heart kick hard in his chest. That never happened. He was 34 years old. He had seen everything, done everything. Nothing surprised him, nothing moved him. But this woman on stage made him feel like a stupid teenager again. He forgot about his business meeting. He walked to a table close to the stage and sat down. His eyes never left her. She kept dancing, but now she was dancing for him. He knew it. She knew it. Her movements got slower, more deliberate. She ran her hands down her body, and he imagined his hands doing the same thing. She dropped low to the floor, and he wondered what those strong legs would feel like wrapped around him. This was crazy. Dae-jung didn't do things like this. He didn't get distracted by women. He had learned years ago that feelings made you weak, and weakness got you killed in his world. But he couldn't look away. When her performance ended, men threw money on the stage. She collected it with that same confident smile, then walked off into the back. Dae-jung felt something like panic. She was leaving. He might never see her again. He caught the eye of the club manager, a nervous little man who knew exactly who Dae-jung was. The manager rushed over, practically tripping. "Mr. Kang, what can I do for you? The dancer who just performed. I want a private conversation with her." The manager's eyes went wide. "You mean Zuri? Sir, she doesn't usually do private rooms." Dae-jung pulled out a stack of cash from his jacket. He didn't even count it. Tell her I'm not asking for anything except conversation. 1 hour. This should cover it. The manager looked at the money. There was enough there to cover a week of private dances. He grabbed it fast. I'll ask her right away, Mr. Kang. 10 minutes later, Dae-jung was sitting in a private room. It was small and decorated in red velvet. There was a couch, a small table, soft lighting. The music from outside was quieter here. The door opened, she walked in, and Dae-jung's breath actually caught. Up close, she was even more stunning. She had changed into a short black dress that hugged every curve. Her legs went on forever in tall heels, but it was her face that got him. High cheekbones, full lips, eyes that sparkled with intelligence and mischief. So you're the man who paid a ridiculous amount of money just to talk to me, she said. Her voice was smooth and rich with an accent he couldn't quite place. African, definitely, but from where? I am. She sat down on the couch, crossing those incredible legs. Most men who pay that much want more than conversation. I'm not most men. I can see that. She studied him with those sharp eyes. You're Korean. I am. And you run something big and probably dangerous, based on how scared the manager looked when he said your name. Dae-jung felt his lips twitch, almost a smile. You're very observant. I have to be. It keeps me safe. She leaned back, completely relaxed. No fear at all. So what does a powerful Korean man want to talk about with a Tanzanian dancer? Tanzania, he said. I thought so from your accent. You know African accents? I know many things, she laughed. It was a real laugh, bright and genuine. You're very serious. Do you ever smile? Not often. That's sad. Life is too short to be serious all the time. Dae-jung found himself leaning forward. What's your name? Your real name? Zuri. It means beloved in my language. And you? Kang Dae-jung. That's a mouthful. Can I call you Dae? No one called him Dae. No one shortened his name or spoke to him casually. But hearing it from her lips made something warm spread through his chest. You can call me whatever you want. She smiled wider. Dangerous answer, Dae. They started talking. Really talking. Not the fake conversation you have with strangers. Real conversation. She told him about growing up in Tanzania, about how she came to America 3 years ago with big dreams, about how dancing made her feel free and powerful, about wanting to open her own dance studio someday, teaching young girls that their bodies were strong and beautiful. He found himself telling her things he never told anyone, about feeling alone even when surrounded by people, about how his business world was cold and violent, about how doctors told him when he was 25 that he was infertile, that he would never have children. He didn't know why he shared that, maybe because she listened without judgment. That must have been hard, she said softly, being told you can't have something most people take for granted. I learned to accept it. I stopped being careful about protection. What was the point? She reached out and touched his hand, just a simple touch, her fingers on his. But it felt like electricity shooting up his arm. I'm sorry that happened to you. Dae-jung looked at their hands. Hers was smaller, softer, a beautiful dark brown against his lighter skin. He turned his hand over and laced his fingers through hers. She didn't pull away. You're not afraid of me, he said. It wasn't a question. Should I be? Everyone else is. I'm not everyone else. She squeezed his hand. Besides, I see past the scary exterior. You're not as cold as you pretend to be. Something cracked inside his chest. Some wall he had built years ago. He stood up, still holding her hand, and pulled her to her feet. She came willingly, standing so close he could smell her perfume, something sweet and spicy. I want to kiss you, he said. Tell me no if you don't want this. She looked up at him. I don't want to tell you no. He kissed her, soft at first, testing. Her lips were full and soft. She tasted like mint and something sweet. Then she made a small sound in her throat and pressed closer, and the kiss exploded into something desperate. His hands went to her waist, feeling those curves he had been imagining, her arms wrapped around his neck. She kissed him back just as hard, her tongue sliding against his. Heat flooded through his body. They kissed like drowning people finding air, like they had been waiting their whole lives for this. His hands moved down to grip her hips. She pressed her body against his, and he groaned into her mouth when they finally broke apart, both breathing hard. Dae-jung's heart was pounding. He looked into her eyes and saw the same fire he felt. "I need to see you again," he said. "This was supposed to be just 1 hour. I don't care. I'll pay for more time. I'll buy the whole club if I have to." She laughed breathlessly. "That's excessive. I don't do anything halfway." He pulled out his phone and showed her the screen. "This is my private number. I don't give this to anyone. Call me when you're ready. Tomorrow. The next day. Whenever. But call me." She took her own phone from a small purse and typed in his number. "What if I don't call?" "You will." "Confident." "No." "Hopeful." He kissed her again, slower this time, but just as deep. "Call me, Zuri." When he finally left the private room an hour later, his business meeting completely forgotten, Dae-jung felt different. Lighter somehow, like something frozen inside him had started to melt. He didn't know that this one night would change everything, that the woman with the confident smile and fearless eyes would give him something he thought was impossible. He just knew he needed to see her again. His phone rang 3 days later. Unknown number. He answered it anyway. "Dae!" That voice. His heart actually jumped. "Zuri, I'm ready to see you again. But not at the club. Somewhere private." He gave her his address without hesitation. "Come tonight. I'll send a car for you. I can get there myself. I'm not helpless." He smiled. Actually smiled. "I never thought you were. Come at 8. I'll be there." She hung up. Dae-jung stood in his office, phone in hand, smiling like an idiot. His second-in-command walked in and froze. "Boss, are you okay? You're smiling." "Get out." "Yes, sir." But Dae-jung kept smiling. Tonight. She was coming tonight. And he had a feeling his carefully controlled life was about to get turned completely upside down. He was right. Zuri stood outside the tall glass building in downtown California, staring up at the penthouse floor. Her heart was beating fast. She had changed her mind 3 times about coming here tonight. This was crazy. She barely knew this man. He was clearly dangerous. Everything about this screamed bad idea. But she remembered that kiss, the way his hands felt on her waist, the way he looked at her like she was the most important thing in the world. She wanted to feel that again. She walked into the lobby. The doorman took one look at her and smiled. "Miss Zuri, Mr. Kang is expecting you. Top floor, penthouse suite. The elevator is ready for you." Of course he had already told them her name. Of course he had everything prepared. The man was thorough. The elevator ride felt like forever. Her stomach flipped with nerves and excitement. When the doors opened, she stepped directly into his penthouse. No hallway, no other apartments. The elevator opened right into his home. And what a home! Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the entire California skyline, lit up at night. The furniture was modern and expensive looking. Everything was clean and organised, black, white, and grey colours everywhere. It looked like a magazine photo, almost too perfect to be real. Dae-jung stood by the windows, wearing dark pants and a white shirt with the sleeves rolled up. No tie, no jacket, more relaxed than she had seen him before. When he turned and saw her, his eyes went dark with heat. "You came." "I said I would." Zuri walked further inside, her heels clicking on the marble floor. She had worn a red dress tonight, fitted and showing off her curves. The way his eyes travelled down her body told her he noticed. "Are you hungry? I had dinner prepared. Maybe later." She walked right up to him, close enough to smell his cologne, something clean and masculine. I didn't come here for food. His jaw tightened. What did you come here for? I think you know. The air between them crackled with tension. She could see him fighting for control, trying to be a gentleman. But she didn't want a gentleman right now. She wanted the heat she had felt in that private room. She reached up and touched his face. His skin was warm under her fingers. You can touch me, Day. I want you to. Something snapped in him. His control broke. He grabbed her waist and pulled her against him, kissing her hard. She kissed him back just as desperately, her hands sliding up his chest to his shoulders. This kiss was different from the first one, hungrier, more demanding. His hands moved down to grip her hips, then lower to cup her bottom through the dress. She gasped into his mouth and pressed closer. Bedroom, he said against her lips. Yes. He picked her up like she weighed nothing. She wrapped her legs around his waist and kept kissing him as he carried her through the penthouse. She got glimpses of hallways and doors, but didn't care about any of it. All she cared about was the feeling of his strong arms holding her, his mouth on hers. His bedroom was huge with a massive bed covered in dark sheets. He set her down on her feet next to the bed. For a moment, they just looked at each other, breathing hard. Tell me you want this, he said. I need to hear you say it. I want this. I want you. He reached around and slowly unzipped her dress. The red fabric pooled at her feet. She stood there in just her black lace underwear and heels, letting him look. His eyes were so dark they were almost black. You're perfect, he breathed. Your turn. She unbuttoned his shirt, taking her time with each button. When she pushed it off his shoulders, she sucked in a breath. His body was incredible, muscled but lean, smooth skin, and scars. Several scars across his chest and sides, evidence of the dangerous life he lived. She traced one scar with her finger. Does it hurt? Not anymore. She leaned forward and kissed the scar. His whole body tensed. She kissed another one, then another, working her way across his chest, his hands tangled in her hair. Zuri, he groaned. She looked up at him and smiled. Then she reached for his belt. What happened next was fire, pure fire. He laid her down on the bed and kissed every inch of her body. She had never felt anything like the way he touched her, like she was precious and desired all at once. His hands were rough from whatever violent work he did, but they were gentle on her skin. When he finally moved between her legs, she was already desperate for him. He took his time anyway, driving her crazy with his mouth and fingers until she was begging. Please, Day, I need you. I don't have protection, he said, breathing hard. The doctors said I can't have children, so I stopped carrying it. I'm on birth control, and I trust you. She shouldn't trust him. She barely knew him, but somehow she did. He kissed her deep and slow as he pushed inside her. She gasped at the feeling. He was big, and it had been a long time for her. He stopped, letting her adjust. Okay, he asked against her lips. More than okay. Don't stop. He started moving, slow at first, then faster, harder. She wrapped her legs around him and met every thrust. The sounds they made filled the room, skin on skin, heavy breathing, her moans, his groans. It was rough and passionate and perfect. He knew exactly how to touch her, where to kiss her, how to move to make her see stars. When she finally climaxed, crying out his name, he followed right after, burying his face in her neck. They lay tangled together afterward, sweaty and breathless. Zuri felt like her whole body was buzzing. That was incredible. She had been with men before, but never like that. Never so intense and connected. Stay, Dae-jung said, his hand stroking her back. Stay the night. Okay. They fell asleep, wrapped around each other. When Zuri woke up in the morning, sunlight was streaming through the windows. Dae-jung was already awake, propped up on one elbow, watching her. That's creepy, she said, smiling. You're beautiful when you sleep. You're sweet when you think I can't hear you. He smiled, that rare, amazing smile. Hungry now? Starving. He made breakfast. Actually cooked it himself, which surprised her. Eggs and rice and some Korean dishes she didn't recognize. They ate at his kitchen island, talking and laughing. It felt natural, easy. Tell me about your dance studio dream, he said. So she did. She told him about wanting a safe place for young girls to learn dance and build confidence, about teaching them that their bodies were powerful, not just something for other people to look at, about creating a community. How much would it cost to start? He asked. Why? Just curious. She told him the number she had been saving toward. His face didn't change at all. That amount of money probably meant nothing to him. Don't, she said firmly. Don't what? Don't offer to give me money. I can see. You thinking about it. I want to do this myself. He looked at her for a long moment. You're very independent. I have to be. I came to this country with nothing. Everything I have, I earned. I respect that. He reached across and took her hand. But if you ever need help, you can ask me. I'll remember that. They spent the whole day together, talking, laughing, making love again in the afternoon, slower this time, taking their time to explore each other. By the time evening came, Zuri knew she was in trouble. This wasn't just physical attraction anymore. She was starting to actually like him. I should go, she said reluctantly. I have work tomorrow night. His face darkened. I don't like thinking about you dancing for other men. It's my job day. I know. I'm not trying to control you. I just don't like it. She kissed him. Too bad. My body. My choice. He growled and pulled her closer. When can I see you again? Next week? Same time? That's too long. She laughed. You're spoiled. Yes, by you. They settled into a pattern after that. Every week, sometimes twice a week, she would come to his penthouse. They would have dinner, talk for hours, then end up in his bed. The physical connection between them was explosive. Every time was somehow better than the last, but it wasn't just about the physical stuff. Zuri found herself opening up to him in ways she never had with anyone. She told him about her family back in Tanzania, about her younger sister who wanted to be a doctor, about missing home but loving the freedom of America. He told her about growing up in Korea, about his father who had started the family business, about coming to America at 20 and building his own empire. He didn't give details about exactly what he did, but she understood it was dangerous and probably illegal. She probably should have been scared. Instead, she felt safe with him. 2 months passed like a dream, the best 2 months of her life. She found herself thinking about him constantly, missing him when they were apart, counting down the days until she could see him again. Then, one morning, she woke up feeling sick, really sick. She barely made it to the bathroom before throwing up. This kept happening for 3 days straight, always in the morning. Her body felt different, tired. Her breasts were sore. No, it couldn't be. She bought a pregnancy test on the way home from work, sat in her tiny apartment bathroom, hands shaking, waiting for the results. 2 pink lines. Positive, pregnant. Zuri stared at the test in shock. This wasn't possible. She was on birth control. She took it every day at the same time. How did this happen? But she knew how. Birth control wasn't perfect. Nothing was 100%. And she and Dae-jung had been together a lot over the past 2 months. Very physical, very active. Of course this could happen. Oh no. Dae-jung. He had told her he was infertile. The doctors had told him he could never have children. What would he think when she told him? Would he believe her? Would he think she was trying to trap him? Would he accuse her of cheating? Her hands were shaking so hard she dropped the test. She picked it up and looked at it again. Still positive and still pregnant. She needed to tell him. He deserved to know, but she was terrified. It took her 2 days to work up the courage to call him. Her voice shook when he answered. Zuri, what's wrong? I need to see you. Tonight. It's important. Come over right now. I'll send a car. No, I'll get there myself. The drive to his penthouse felt like the longest drive of her life. Her hands gripped the steering wheel tight. Her mind kept spinning. What if he didn't believe her? What if he got angry? What if he told her to leave and never come back? But she had to tell him. She had to. When she walked into his penthouse, he took one look at her face and pulled her into his arms. What's wrong? Tell me. She stepped back. She needed space for this. I have something to tell you, and you're probably not going to believe me, but I swear I'm telling the truth. His face went hard and serious. What is it? She took a deep breath. I'm pregnant. The words hung in the air between them. Dae-jung just stared at her. His face showed nothing. Complete blank. The silence stretched on forever. Say something, she whispered. That's not possible. I know what the doctors told you, but I'm pregnant. I took 3 tests, all positive. You're on birth control. It's not perfect. Nothing is 100%. Tears filled her eyes. I'm not lying. I'm not trying to trap you. I just thought you should know. He still didn't move, didn't speak, just stared at her with that blank face. Zuri felt her heart breaking. He didn't believe her. He thought she was lying or cheating or something. Then he laughed. It was a real laugh, deep and genuine and shocked. He actually bent over laughing, hands on his knees. She stared at him like he was crazy. Dae, are you okay? He stood up straight, still laughing, and pulled her into his arms. I'm going to be a father. Me? The doctors said it was impossible, but I'm going to be a father. You believe me? Of course I believe you. He cupped her face in his hands. You wouldn't lie about this. And I know you haven't been with anyone else. This is a miracle, Zuri, an impossible miracle. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I was so scared you wouldn't believe me. Never. I believe you completely. He dropped to his knees in front of her and pressed his hands against her still flat stomach. There's a baby in there, our baby. She looked down at him, this powerful, dangerous man on his knees in front of her, touching her stomach with such gentle hands. Something shifted in her chest. This was real. They were having a baby together. What do we do now? She whispered. He stood up and kissed her, soft and sweet and full of promise. Now we figure it out together. But tonight, I just want to hold you. He carried her to bed, not for passion this time, just to hold her. They lay facing each other, his hand on her stomach, talking about the future, about the baby, about everything changing. My world is dangerous, he said quietly. Having a child makes you vulnerable, makes me vulnerable. My enemies would love to hurt me through you and the baby. I know. I need to make a choice. Push you away to keep you safe, or keep you close and protect you with everything I have. She looked into his eyes. What do you want to do? He was quiet for a long moment. Then he pulled her closer and kissed her forehead. I want to keep you. Both of you. I'll protect you. No one will hurt my family. My family. He had called them his family. They made love that night different from all the other times, slower, deeper, like they were making a promise to each other. His hands were gentle on her body, worshipping her like something precious. When she climaxed, tears ran down her face. I've got you, he whispered against her skin. I've got you both. Later, as she lay in his arms, his hand resting on her stomach where their baby was growing, Zuri felt something she hadn't felt in a long time, hope, real hope for a future she hadn't dared to dream about. But she didn't know yet how dangerous that hope would be, how many threats were waiting in the shadows, how much would change in the months to come. She just knew that tonight, in this moment, she felt safe and loved and happy, and for now, that was enough. 3 weeks after telling Dae-jung about the pregnancy, Zuri moved the last of her boxes into his penthouse. She looked around at her small collection of belongings, now sitting in his huge, expensive home. It felt strange, wrong almost. "Stop overthinking," Dae-jung said from behind her. He wrapped his arms around her waist, his hands resting on her stomach. "This is your home now. Our home. It's just a lot of change very fast. Too fast." She turned in his arms. "No, just different from what I imagined my life would be." He kissed her forehead. "Better or worse?" "Different. Scary, but good." The past 3 weeks had been a whirlwind. First came the doctor's appointment, where they confirmed the pregnancy. 6 weeks along. The doctor had been shocked when Dae-jung explained his infertility diagnosis. Apparently, sometimes these things happened. Medical miracles, 1 in a million chance. But here they were. Then came the conversations about the future. Dae-jung had been firm about wanting her to move in with him. His penthouse was secure. He had cameras everywhere, security guards, safe. Her tiny apartment had none of that. For the baby's sake, she needed to be where he could protect her. Zuri had resisted at first. She liked her independence, her own space. But he was right. If his world was as dangerous as he said, their baby needed protection. So she agreed. She quit her job at Velvet Nights. Dae-jung had been thrilled about that part, though he tried to hide it. "No more dancing for other men," he had said with satisfaction. "You're a jealous man, Kang Dae-jung. Only when it comes to you." Now she lived in his penthouse full time. He had cleared out 3 closets for her clothes, given her access to all his accounts, told his security team that her word was law, same as his. He treated her like a queen, but sometimes, late at night, she heard him on phone calls speaking Korean in harsh tones, saw him leave the penthouse with that cold, dangerous look on his face, watched him come back hours later with tension in his shoulders. She knew he was dealing with his business, the illegal, violent business he ran. She never asked details. Maybe she should have, but part of her didn't want to know, didn't want to think about the man she loved doing terrible things. Yes, loved. She had admitted it to herself a week ago. She was in love with Kang Dae-jung, completely, totally in love, which was terrifying because she still barely knew him. But the heart didn't care about logic. "I have a meeting tonight," Dae-jung said, pulling her from her thoughts. "Business. It might run late." "Okay. Sung-ho will be here, and 2 guards downstairs. You'll be safe." Sung-ho was his second in command, a serious man in his 40s who barely smiled, but he was loyal to Dae-jung and, by extension, protective of Zuri. "I'll be fine. I'm just going to unpack and watch movies." Dae-jung tilted her face up and kissed her, deep and thorough. "I'll be back as soon as I can. Call me if you need anything. I will." After he left, Zuri spent hours unpacking and organising, making this space feel like hers too. She hung up her clothes next to his expensive suits, put her books on his empty shelves, added her colourful throw pillows to his boring grey couch. By 9 o'clock, she was exhausted. Pregnancy made her so tired. She changed into comfortable pyjamas and settled on the couch with a blanket. But she couldn't focus on the TV. Her mind kept wandering. What was she doing? She was pregnant with a gangster's baby, living in his penthouse, completely dependent on him. This was crazy. Her sister back in Tanzania would lose her mind if she knew. Her sister? Oh no. She hadn't told her family yet about the baby, or about Dae-jung. What would she even say? "Hi, family. I'm pregnant by a Korean man I barely know who runs some kind of criminal empire." They would freak out. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. "Hello? Is this Zuri?" A woman's voice, cold, speaking English with a heavy Korean accent. "Yes. Who is this?" "I am Kang Seo-yeon, Dae-jung's mother." Zuri sat up straight, her heart pounding. His mother. How did she get this number? How did she even know about Zuri? "Mrs. Kang, hello. I hear you are pregnant with my son's child." Straight to the point then. Yes, I am. This is a problem. Zuri felt anger flash through her. Why is it a problem? You are not suitable. You are a dancer, a foreigner, not Korean. My son needs a proper wife from a good Korean family. Your son chose me. My son is being foolish. This pregnancy is convenient for you, a way to trap a rich man. Zuri stood up, her hands shaking with rage. I didn't trap anyone. This baby was not planned, and I don't need your son's money. I have my own money. Money from dancing half naked for men. How respectable. I'm done with this conversation. Wait. I am coming to California. We will meet. I will pay you whatever amount you want to disappear from my son's life. I'm not disappearing, and I'm not taking your money. Goodbye, Mrs. Kang. She hung up before the woman could say anything else. Her hands were shaking, anger and hurt mixed together in her chest. Daejung's mother thought she was a gold digger, thought she had trapped him, thought she wasn't good enough. Maybe she was right. Maybe Zuri wasn't good enough for him. She was just a dancer from Tanzania. He was rich and powerful and came from a whole different world. No, she stopped that thought. She was good enough. She was strong and smart and capable. She loved Daejung and he loved her. That was all that mattered. Did he love her? He had never said the words. Neither had she. They had talked about the baby, about living together, about the future, but not about love. When Daejung came home 3 hours later, Zuri was still sitting on the couch, thinking. He took one look at her face and knew something was wrong. What happened? She told him about the phone call, watched his face get darker and darker as she spoke. By the end, his jaw was clenched tight with anger. She had no right to call you, no right to say those things. Is she wrong, though? I am just a dancer. You come from wealth and power. Maybe I'm not suitable. He crossed the room fast and pulled her to her feet. Don't ever say that. You are perfect. You are everything. But your mother... My mother is traditional and controlling and stuck in old ways. She doesn't get to decide my life. I do. He cupped her face in his hands. You are the mother of my child, the woman I want by my side. Nothing else matters. She said she's coming to California. She wants to meet me and offer me money to disappear. Daejung's laugh was harsh. She can try. You're not going anywhere. He kissed her then, hard and possessive, claiming her. She kissed him back just as fiercely, pouring all her fear and anger and love into it. They made love right there on the couch, fast and desperate, like they needed to prove to each other that they were real, that this was real. His hands were everywhere, touching her, reminding her that she belonged to him and he belonged to her. Afterward, they lay tangled together, breathing hard. His hand rested on her stomach where their baby was growing. She was 8 weeks now, still no real bump yet, but things were changing. Her breasts were bigger, her body felt different. I need to tell you something, Daejung said quietly. What? My business. It's not legal. You probably guessed that. I run operations that involve money laundering, protection services, some smuggling. I've hurt people, killed people who threatened me or my organization. Zuri tensed. She had known it was bad, but hearing him say it out loud made it real. Why are you telling me this now? Because you need to know what you're getting into. My enemies will come after you and the baby to get to me. You'll have guards following you everywhere. You'll never be completely safe. This life I'm offering you is dangerous. Are you trying to scare me away? I'm trying to be honest. I want you to stay. I want to build a life with you and our child, but you need to understand what that means. She was quiet for a long moment. Then she took his hand and placed it firmly on her stomach. I'm scared. I'd be stupid not to be. But I'm not leaving. We're in this together. He pulled her closer, burying his face in her hair. I'll protect you, both of you. I swear it. I know you will. They fell asleep like that, wrapped around each other. But Zuri's dreams were troubled. She dreamed of his mother's cold voice, of faceless enemies in the shadows, of danger she couldn't see coming. She woke up suddenly in the middle of the night. Daejung was still asleep beside her, his arm heavy across her waist. She watched him sleep, this dangerous man who was going to be the father of her child. What was she doing? This was insane. She should leave, pack her bags and go back to Tanzania, raise this baby far away from gangs and violence and disapproving mothers. But even as she thought it, she knew she wouldn't, because she loved him, because he looked at her like she hung the moon, because when he touched her stomach and talked to their baby in Korean, she saw a future worth fighting for. She just had to hope that future didn't get them all killed. The next morning, Daejung had already left for work when Zuri woke up. There was a note on his pillow. Had to handle something. Sung-ho is downstairs. I'll be back for dinner. I love you. She stared at those last 3 words, I love you, written in his harsh handwriting on a simple note. Her heart squeezed tight. He loved her. He actually loved her. She pressed the note to her chest, smiling like an idiot. Then she got up to face whatever came next. His mother was coming to California. There would be threats and danger and complications, but they would face it together, because love wasn't enough. But love plus commitment, plus determination to fight for each other? That might just be enough to survive anything. She hoped. Zuri stood in front of the mirror, smoothing down her dress for the 10th time. Today she was meeting Daejung's mother in person. 2 weeks had passed since that phone call, and Mrs. Kang had arrived in California yesterday. The meeting was happening in 1 hour at the penthouse. You look beautiful, Daejung said from the doorway. He came up behind her and wrapped his arms around her waist, his hands spread across her stomach, which was just starting to show a small bump. 10 weeks pregnant now. I look terrified. She's just a woman. Don't let her intimidate you. She's your mother. I want her to like me. She will. Eventually. He turned her around to face him, but even if she doesn't, nothing changes. You're staying. The baby is staying. We're building a life together. Together, she repeated, touching his face. I love you. He smiled. That rare, beautiful smile. I love you too. Now stop worrying. Easy for him to say. He wasn't the one being judged by traditional Korean standards. He wasn't the foreign dancer who got pregnant and trapped the rich son. The doorbell rang. Zuri's heart jumped into her throat. Daejung squeezed her hand. Ready? No, but let's do it anyway. Mrs. Kang Seo-yeon was exactly what Zuri expected. Small and elegant in an expensive designer suit. Her black hair was perfectly styled. Her makeup was flawless. She looked at Zuri with cold eyes that showed nothing. Mother, Daejung said in Korean, bowing slightly. This is Zuri, my mother. Mrs. Kang, Zuri said politely. It's nice to meet you. The older woman's eyes travelled over Zuri slowly, taking in every detail. The natural hair, the curves, the dark skin, the small baby bump. Her expression never changed. Sit, she said in English. We talk. They sat in the living room. Zuri felt like she was on trial. Mrs. Kang sat across from them, back straight, hands folded. Perfect posture, perfect control. So, Mrs. Kang said, you carry my grandchild. Yes, ma'am. Daejung says this baby is miracle. Doctors say he cannot have children. That's what they told him. But sometimes doctors are wrong, or sometimes women lie. The words were said calmly, but they cut like knives. Daejung tensed beside her. Mother, that's enough. Mrs. Kang ignored him. Her eyes stayed on Zuri. How do I know baby is his? Zuri felt anger burn through her. She sat up straighter. Because I say so. I have never been with anyone else since I met your son. This is his baby. If you don't believe me, we can do a DNA test after the baby is born. I think we will. Fine. They stared at each other. Zuri refused to look away first. She might be younger. might be from a different culture, might be everything Mrs. Kang didn't want, but she wasn't weak. She wouldn't be pushed around. Mrs. Kang spoke in Korean then, long sentences directed at Dae-jung. He responded in Korean, his voice getting sharper. They argued back and forth. Zuri sat there feeling helpless and frustrated. Then Mrs. Kang said something that made Dae-jung stand up abruptly. His face was furious. He spoke in Korean, but Zuri heard her name, heard the anger in his voice. In English, Zuri said firmly. If you're talking about me, speak English so I can understand. Mrs. Kang looked at her with surprise. Then something that might have been respect. I tell my son he should marry proper Korean women, have legitimate children, keep you as mistress if he wants. The words hit like a slap. Zuri felt her eyes burn with tears. She blinked them back. No, she would not cry in front of this woman. I'm not going to be anyone's mistress, and your son isn't going to marry some woman you pick for him. We're together. We're having this baby. Deal with it or don't, but I'm not going anywhere. Mrs. Kang's eyes narrowed. You are bold. I have to be. The world doesn't give anything to women who stay quiet. More Korean from Mrs. Kang. Dae-jung answered, but his voice was calmer now. They went back and forth. At one point, Mrs. Kang actually looked at Zuri with something other than coldness. Maybe curiosity. My mother wants to know about your family, Dae-jung translated, about where you come from. So Zuri told her about growing up in Tanzania, about her parents who died when she was young, about raising her younger sister, about working hard, saving money, coming to America to build a better life, about wanting to open a dance studio to help young girls find confidence and strength. Mrs. Kang listened without expression. When Zuri finished, the older woman was quiet for a long moment. You work hard, she finally said. This is good, but you are not what I want for my son. I know, but I'm what he chose. Choice is not always enough. It is for us. Mrs. Kang stood up. The meeting was apparently over. Dae-jung walked her to the elevator. Zuri stayed on the couch, hands shaking. She had survived, barely, but she had stood her ground. When Dae-jung came back, he looked tired. He sat beside her and pulled her into his arms. I'm sorry. She shouldn't have said those things. It's okay. She's your mother. She wants what's best for you. You're what's best for me. Zuri pulled back to look at him. She's not going to accept this. Accept us. Then she'll lose her son and grandchild. Her choice. Dae-jung! No. I've lived my whole life trying to please her, doing what she wants, following the path she set. But this? You? Our baby? This is mine, my choice, my life. He touched her stomach gently. I choose you. Both of you. Always. She kissed him then, soft and sweet and full of love. I choose you too. That night, after his mother had checked into her hotel, they made love slowly. He took his time with her body, worshipping every inch. His hands were gentle on her growing belly, careful of the baby inside. When he pushed inside her, they both groaned. I love you, he said, moving slowly. I love you so much. Show me, she breathed. So he did, over and over, until they were both exhausted and satisfied, and completely connected. The next 2 weeks were tense. Mrs. Kang stayed in California, showing up unexpectedly at the penthouse. Always watching, always judging. Zuri felt like she was constantly being tested, but something started to shift. One day, Mrs. Kang brought Korean food she had cooked. Baby needs proper nutrition, she said stiffly. The food was delicious. Another day, she brought baby clothes, traditional Korean outfits in tiny sizes. For my grandchild, she said, not quite meeting Zuri's eyes. Small gestures, tiny cracks in the ice. Zuri accepted each one gracefully. Then came the day that changed everything. Zuri was 12 weeks pregnant. They had a doctor's appointment for an ultrasound. Dae-jung had invited his mother to come along. Zuri wasn't sure it was a good idea, but he insisted. They sat in the dim ultrasound room. The technician spread cold gel on Zuri's small bump. The screen flickered to life, and there was the baby, a tiny little bean shape with a flickering heartbeat. "Everything looks healthy," the technician said. "Strong heartbeat. Good size for 12 weeks. Zuri watched Dae-jung stare at the screen with wonder on his face. His hand gripped hers tight. She glanced at Mrs. Kang. The older woman's eyes were fixed on the screen, and there were tears running down her face. Silent tears. She didn't make a sound, but she was crying, looking at her grandchild on the screen and crying. After the appointment in the parking lot, Mrs. Kang stopped them. "I see baby now," she said quietly. "Real, not just idea. Real baby." She looked at Zuri, really looked at her for the first time. "You take care of my grandchild." "With my life," Zuri promised. Mrs. Kang nodded slowly. "Then, maybe we'd try." It wasn't acceptance, not complete, but it was a start. Zuri felt hope bloom in her chest. Over the next weeks, things got better. Mrs. Kang started calling with advice instead of criticism. She took Zuri shopping for maternity clothes, insisting on paying for everything. She taught her how to make Korean dishes that were good for pregnancy. "You are stubborn, girl," Mrs. Kang said one day while they cooked together. "Like me when I was young." "Is that a compliment?" "Maybe." The older woman almost smiled. "Dae-jung needs stubborn woman. He is too stubborn himself." Zuri laughed. It felt good to laugh with her. Meanwhile, her relationship with Dae-jung grew deeper. They talked about everything now. The future, names for the baby, where they would raise their child. He was slowly stepping back from the most dangerous parts of his business, trying to build something legitimate. "I want to be around to watch our child grow up," he said one night, his hand on her growing belly. She was 4 months along now, starting to really show. "I want to be a father our baby can be proud of." "You will be." Their physical relationship intensified as her pregnancy progressed. He couldn't get enough of her changing body. He loved her curves getting fuller, her breasts getting bigger, her belly growing round with his child. "You're so beautiful like this," he said, kissing down her neck while his hands roamed her body. "So perfect. I feel huge. You feel perfect." He made love to her carefully now, always, aware of the baby, but it was still passionate, still intense, maybe even more so because of the care he took. Each touch was deliberate, each kiss was purposeful. One night, 5 months pregnant, she woke up to find him talking to her belly in Korean. Soft words in his own language, his hand gentle on her skin. "What are you saying?" she asked sleepily. He looked up, not embarrassed at being caught. "I'm telling our baby about you, about how strong and beautiful you are, about how lucky we are to have you." Her eyes filled with tears. Pregnancy hormones made her cry at everything lately. "I love you so much." "I love you too, both of you." He kissed her belly, then moved up to kiss her mouth. "Forever, forever," she agreed. The next morning, Dae-jung's crew came to the penthouse for a meeting. Zuri knew most of them by now. Sung-ho, his second. Chang-min, who handled finances. Tai-yang, in charge of security. They were all tough men who did terrible things. But they respected her because Dae-jung did. She walked through the living room where they were gathered, heading to the kitchen for water. Her belly was obvious now at 5 months. She wore one of Dae-jung's t-shirts that stretched over her bump. The men all bowed slightly as she passed. "Mrs. Kang," they said respectfully. She wasn't Mrs. Kang. They weren't married, but the crew had started calling her that anyway. Dae-jung's woman, the mother of his child. That made her family untouchable. In the kitchen, she heard them talking in the living room, Korean mixed with English. Something about a shipment, a rival group causing problems. Then Dae-jung's voice, sharp and cold. Handle it. I don't care how, just keep it away from my home, away from her. Her, Zuri touched her belly. She had become his priority, above business, above money, above everything. That night, after his crew left, she confronted him. Your business is getting dangerous again. It's always dangerous. More than usual. I heard you talking. He sighed and pulled her close. There's a group from Detroit trying to move in on my territory. They're testing boundaries, seeing how far they can push. What are you going to do? Push back, hard. Make an example. His hand covered her belly. But I'm being careful. Nothing will touch you and the baby. What if something happens to you? It won't. Dae-jung. He kissed her to stop the words. Trust me, I've survived this long. I'm not going anywhere. She wanted to believe him. She tried to, but fear lived in her chest now, cold and heavy. 2 days later, she found out she was having a boy. The ultrasound tech showed them the evidence, clear as day, a son. Dae-jung cried, actually cried, tears running down his face as he stared at the screen. A son, he whispered in Korean. I have a son. That night, he made love to her so tenderly. Tears were still in his eyes. Thank you, he kept saying. Thank you for giving me this miracle. We made him together. She reminded him. Yes, together. He kissed her belly. Our son. They chose a name that night, something that worked in both Korean and English, something strong, something that meant hope and new beginnings. Life was good, perfect almost. His mother had warmed up to her. The baby was healthy. Dae-jung was working on leaving his dangerous business. They were building a real future together. Zuri should have known it was too good to last. She should have known that happiness this bright attracted attention. That powerful men with pregnant girlfriends made perfect targets. That danger was always waiting in the shadows. But she was too happy to see it coming, too in love to worry, too focused on the growing life inside her to notice the threats gathering outside. The storm was coming, and when it hit, nothing would ever be the same. Zuri's sister Zola arrived from Tanzania on a Tuesday afternoon. 6 months pregnant now, Zuri was excited to see family. She hadn't realized how much she missed home until she saw Zola walking through the airport gate. Sister! Zola ran forward and hugged her carefully, aware of the belly between them. Then she stepped back and stared. You're huge! Thanks a lot, Zuri laughed. You look good. Zola was 2 years younger, 24, to Zuri's 26. She was studying to be a nurse back home, saving every penny. This trip had probably cost her months of savings. They talked non-stop in the car ride back to the penthouse, about family back home, about Zola's studies, about the pregnancy. Zuri told her everything. Well, almost everything. She left out the details about Dae-jung's business, but Zola wasn't stupid. The second she walked into the luxury penthouse, with its expensive furniture and floor-to-ceiling windows, her eyes went wide. What does this man do for money? She asked in their language. Business, import and export. What kind of import and export? Before Zuri could answer, Dae-jung came home. He walked in wearing a dark suit, looking powerful and dangerous. When he saw Zola, his face softened slightly. You must be Zuri's sister. I'm Dae-jung. He held out his hand. Zola shook it, but her expression was wary. Zola. Nice to meet you. They had dinner together that night. It was awkward. Zola kept staring at Dae-jung like he was a puzzle she was trying to solve. Dae-jung was polite, but quiet. Zuri tried to keep conversation flowing, talking about nothing important. After dinner, when Dae-jung excused himself to take a business call, Zola grabbed Zuri's arm. We need to talk, alone. They went to the guest room where Zola was staying. As soon as the door closed, her sister exploded. Are you crazy? This man is a gangster. Keep your voice down. I'm serious, Zuri. I can see it. The guards downstairs. The way people look at him with fear. The phone calls in the middle of dinner. Zola gripped her hands. What have you gotten yourself into? Zuri sat on the bed heavily. It's complicated. Complicated. You're pregnant with a criminal's baby. This is not complicated. This is dangerous. I love him. Love. Zola's voice went high. You barely know him. You got pregnant and now you're trapped. I'm not trapped. I chose this. I chose him. Then unchoose. Come back to Tanzania with me. We'll raise the baby together. You don't need this man or his blood money. Zuri felt tears burn her eyes. I can't leave him. Why not? Because I love him. Because he loves me and our baby. Because he's trying to be better, to build a legitimate business. Because when he looks at me, I feel like the most important person in the world. Zola sat beside her, taking her hand. Sister, I'm scared for you. Men like him, they don't change. They bring danger everywhere they go. What if something happens to you? Or the baby? He protects us. He would die before letting anyone hurt us. That's what I'm afraid of. Him dying, and you being left alone with a baby in a foreign country. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Zola spoke again, softer. Does he hit you? What? No, never. He's gentle with me, treats me like I'm precious. But he hurts other people. Zuri couldn't deny that. Yes, he does. And you're okay with that? Was she? Zuri touched her belly where her son kicked. She had asked herself this question 100 times. Could she love a man who did terrible things? Could she raise a child with him? I don't know if I'm okay with it, she admitted, but I know I can't leave him. We're connected now, through this baby, through everything. Zola shook her head. I hope you know what you're doing. Me too. The next few days were tense. Zola stayed in the penthouse, watching everything with critical eyes. She and Daejung were polite to each other, but there was no warmth. Zuri felt stuck in the middle. Then Mrs. Kang came to visit. She had gone back to Korea for a month, but returned to California for the last part of the pregnancy. When she walked into the penthouse and saw Zola, the temperature in the room dropped about 20 degrees. Two women who disapproved of Zuri's choices, meeting for the first time. This was going to be a disaster. Mother, this is Zuri's sister Zola. Daejung introduced them. Zola, my mother, Mrs. Kang. They bowed slightly to each other. Mrs. Kang's eyes travelled over Zola, assessing. Zola stared back with equal judgment. Your sister is pregnant with my grandchild, Mrs. Kang said. I know. I'm here to make sure she's okay. She is fine. My son takes good care of her. Your son is a criminal. The room went silent. Zuri wanted to disappear. Daejung's face went hard. Mrs. Kang's eyes flashed with anger. You know nothing about my son, Mrs. Kang said coldly. I know enough. I know my sister was dancing in a club 6 months ago. Now she's pregnant and living in a penthouse. Very convenient. Zola! Zuri stood up, her belly making the movement awkward. That's enough. No, it's not enough. Someone needs to say it. You're all pretending this is normal, a nice family situation, but it's not. This is dangerous and wrong and... Get out, Daejung said quietly, but his voice was like ice, scary. Zola looked at him. What? Get out of my home. You don't respect Zuri's choices. You don't respect me. You're not welcome here. Daejung, wait, Zuri started. No. He looked at Zola. Your sister is an adult. She makes her own decisions. If you can't accept that, then leave. Zola's eyes filled with tears. Zuri, please, come with me. We can leave right now. Zuri looked at her sister, then at Daejung, then at Mrs. Kang, who was watching with calculating eyes, everyone waiting to see what she would choose. Her son kicked inside her belly, strong and healthy, real. I'm staying, she said quietly. I'm sorry, Zola, but I love him. I'm building a life with him. You can accept it, or you can go, but I'm staying. Zola's face crumpled. You're choosing him over family. I'm choosing my own family, the one I'm creating. Tears ran down Zola's face. She grabbed her purse and headed for the door. At the last moment, she turned back. When this all falls apart, when his dangerous life catches up to you, don't say I didn't warn you. Then she left. The door closed behind her with a final sound. Zuri stood there, tears streaming down her face. She had just chosen Dae-jung over her sister, over her last connection to her old life. Mrs. Kang spoke first. You did right thing. Family is important, but you must choose your own path. Coming from her, it meant something. Zuri nodded, unable to speak. Dae-jung pulled her into his arms. She sobbed against his chest, hormones and emotion overwhelming her. He held her tight, one hand on her belly, anchoring her. I've got you, he murmured. I've got you both. That night, after Mrs. Kang went back to her hotel, after Zuri had cried herself out, they lay in bed together, her head on his chest, his hand on her stomach, feeling their son move. Did I do the right thing? She whispered. You chose your future. There's nothing wrong with that. She's my sister, my only family. No, we're your family now, me and our son. He tilted her face up to look at him. I know this is hard. I know I'm asking you to give up a lot, but I promise I will spend every day making sure you never regret it. I don't regret it. I wish it was easier. Nothing worth having is easy. He kissed her then, soft and sweet. She kissed him back, needing the connection, needing to feel close to him after such a terrible day. The kiss deepened. His hands roamed her body, gentle on her pregnant curves. She tugged at his shirt, wanting skin on skin. He helped her undress, then stripped quickly himself. They made love slowly that night. He was so careful with her, so aware of the baby between them. His touches were worshipful, his kisses were tender. When he entered her, they both sighed with relief. This was right. This connection between them, stronger than anything else. She could feel it in every touch, every kiss, every whispered word. I love you, he said, moving inside her. I love you so much. I love you too, always. They moved together, finding their rhythm. It was different now with her belly so big. They had to adjust positions, had to be creative, but it worked. It was perfect. When she climaxed, she cried his name. He followed right after, groaning into her neck. They held each other tight, breathing hard. No matter what happens, he said against her skin, we're together, you and me, and our son. Nothing breaks that. Nothing, she agreed. She fell asleep in his arms, feeling safe despite everything, despite her sister leaving, despite the danger that surrounded them, despite all the reasons this shouldn't work. She felt safe because he made her feel that way, because he loved her and protected her and chose her every single day, and that had to be enough. Because it was all they had. The next morning, Zuri woke up to find a letter slipped under the door. She picked it up, recognizing Zola's handwriting. The letter was short. Zola apologizing for how she acted, saying she understood Zuri had to make her own choices, saying she loved her and wanted to be part of the baby's life if Zuri would let her, saying she would try to accept Dae-jung. Zuri cried reading it, relief flooding through her. Her sister hadn't abandoned her completely. There was still hope for their relationship. She called Zola immediately. They talked for an hour, both apologizing, both crying, both agreeing to try harder. I still don't like him, Zola admitted. But I love you, and I want to know my nephew. That's all I'm asking. By the time Dae-jung woke up, Zuri was smiling again. He pulled her back into bed, kissing her temple. Good news? My sister wants to try. She's going to stay for another week. Good. Family is important. She turned in his arms to look at him. Your mother said the same thing yesterday. My mother is warming up to you. Really? She still barely talks to me. That's how she shows affection. Trust me, if she didn't like you, you would know. Zuri laughed. Your family is so different from mine, but we're making it work. Yeah, we are. They spent the morning in bed, talking, laughing, touching. At 7 months pregnant, Zuri felt huge and awkward, but Daejung still looked at her like she was the most beautiful thing he had ever seen. His hands roamed her belly, feeling their son move under his palms. 2 more months, he said with wonder. 2 more months, and he'll be here. Are you ready? No, but I don't think anyone is ever really ready for a baby. Probably not. He kissed her belly, speaking Korean to their son, the same words he said every morning and every night. Zuri didn't know exactly what he was saying, but the love in his voice was clear. Teach me, she said suddenly. Teach me Korean. I want to understand when you talk to him. His eyes lit up. You want to learn? Yes. He should grow up knowing both his cultures, both languages, and I should be able to talk to your mother properly. My mother will love that. So they started lessons that day. Simple words and phrases. Daejung was patient, repeating things until she got them right. She was terrible at it, stumbling over the unfamiliar sounds, but she kept trying. By the end of the week, she could say basic greetings, could tell Mrs. Kang good morning and thank you. It wasn't much, but it was a start. Mrs. Kang's face the first time Zuri greeted her in Korean was priceless. Shock, then something soft that might have been pride. You learn for baby, Mrs. Kang said. I learn for all of us, for our family. Mrs. Kang nodded slowly. Good. This is good. Later, Zola pulled Zuri aside. I'm still worried, but I can see he really loves you, and you love him. So I'm going to try to be supportive. Thank you. That means everything. Just promise me you'll be careful, that you'll keep yourself and my nephew safe. I promise. That night, with both their families tentatively accepting their relationship, Zuri felt hopeful, like maybe they really could make this work, like maybe love was enough after all. She didn't know that danger was already coming, that enemies were already planning, that their happiness was about to be tested in the worst way possible. She just knew that tonight, in this moment, she was loved and safe and building a future with the man she adored. And for tonight, that was enough. The attack came on a Wednesday night when Zuri was 7 months pregnant. Daejung had left for a meeting an hour earlier. He had kissed her goodbye, his hand lingering on her round belly, making her promise to call if she needed anything. I'll be back by 10, he said. Sung-ho and 2 guards are downstairs. We'll be fine. Go. She spent the evening reading baby books and folding tiny clothes. Her son kicked constantly now, strong and active. She talked to him while she worked, telling him stories about Tanzania, about his father, about the life they were building. At 9:30, she heard a noise, a crash from downstairs, then shouting, then gunshots. Zuri's blood went cold. She grabbed her phone and ran to the panic room Daejung had shown her months ago. A hidden door in the bedroom closet. She slammed it shut behind her and locked it, hands shaking. She called Daejung. It rang twice before he answered. Zuri, what's wrong? Someone's in the penthouse. There were gunshots. I'm in the panic room, but I don't know. Stay there. Don't open the door for anyone except me. I'm coming. More gunshots. Closer now. Men shouting in English and another language. They were looking for her. She heard them enter the bedroom, heard furniture being thrown, heard them tearing apart the closet. They found the panic room door and started banging on it. Come out! A man's voice. Harsh, American accent. We know you're in there. We just want to talk. Zuri, pressed back against the wall, one hand on her belly. Her son was kicking frantically, sensing her fear. She tried to calm her breathing. The door was reinforced steel. They couldn't get through it. She was safe. She had to believe that. The banging got louder. They were using something heavy, trying to break it down. The door shook but held. Your boyfriend killed my brother, the man shouted. So I'm going to kill his baby. Eye for an eye. terror flooded through her. She looked around the small panic room desperately. There was a gun mounted on the wall. Dae-jung had shown her how to use it months ago, just in case. She grabbed it with shaking hands, checked that it was loaded like he taught her, pointed it at the door. If they got through, she would shoot. She had never hurt anyone in her life, but for her baby, she would kill. More gunshots from somewhere else in the penthouse, then silence, then running footsteps, then Dae-jung's voice, sharp and commanding. "Clear the perimeter! Find them all! No one leaves alive!" The banging on the panic room stopped. She heard bodies hitting the floor. More gunshots, men screaming, the sounds of violence that made her want to cover her ears. Then Dae-jung's voice again, right outside the door. "Suri! It's me! You're safe! Open the door!" She unlocked it with trembling hands. The door swung open and there he was, alive, unhurt. But his face was terrifying. Cold rage like she had never seen. There was blood on his hands and suit, not his blood. He took one look at her face, at the gun in her hands, at the way she was shaking, and pulled her into his arms. "I've got you. You're safe. Both of you are safe." She dropped the gun and clung to him, sobbing. Her whole body shook. Her baby kicked desperately inside her. She couldn't catch her breath. "Breathe," Dae-jung said, rubbing her back. "Just breathe. It's over." But it wasn't over. She could see bodies on the floor outside the bedroom, could smell blood and gunpowder, could hear his men moving through the penthouse, cleaning up evidence. "I thought they were going to kill us," she whispered. "They said they wanted to kill our baby." His arms tightened around her. "No one is going to touch you. I'm going to end everyone who even thought about hurting you." There was a promise in his voice, dark and final. She should have been horrified, should have pulled away from a man capable of such violence. Instead, she held him tighter because he was her protection, her safety. The wall between her baby and the monsters in the world. Sung-ho appeared in the doorway, his face grim. He spoke in Korean. Dae-jung responded, his voice hard. They went back and forth. Then Dae-jung nodded. "I need to handle something," he told Zuri. "Sung-ho will stay with you. I'll be back in a few hours." "Where are you going?" "To make sure this never happens again." She understood what that meant. He was going to kill people. The men who attacked them, maybe more. He was going to war. "Be careful," she said. He cupped her face in his bloody hands. "I will come back to you. I promise." He kissed her hard, then left. Sung-ho stayed near the door while other men finished cleaning. Zuri sat on the bed, hands on her belly, trying to calm her racing heart. Her baby needed her to be calm. Stress was bad for the baby. But how was she supposed to be calm when men had just tried to kill them? "Mrs. Kang," Sung-ho said respectfully. "The doctor is on his way. Boss wants to make sure you and baby are healthy." She nodded numbly. The next hours passed in a blur. The doctor came and checked her and the baby. Everything was fine physically, but her blood pressure was high from stress. He gave her something mild to help her relax, safe for pregnancy. Mrs. Kang arrived, summoned by Dae-jung. She took one look at Zuri's face and pulled her into an unexpected hug. "You are safe now," the older woman said. "My son will protect you. He will destroy anyone who threatens his family." Zuri fell asleep sometime after midnight, exhausted from fear and adrenaline. When she woke up hours later, dawn was breaking. And Dae-jung was there. He sat in a chair by the bed, watching her sleep. He had showered, changed clothes, but she could see the darkness in his eyes, the evidence of what he had done. "Is it over?" she asked quietly. "Yes, the Detroit group who came after you. They're gone. All of them." "You killed them." "Yes." She should have felt something. Horror, disgust, fear, but all she felt was relief. They couldn't hurt her baby now. They couldn't hurt her family. "Come to bed," she said. He stripped down to his boxers and climbed in beside her. She turned into his arms, pressing as close as her belly allowed. His hands went immediately to her stomach, checking that their son was still moving. "I'm so sorry," he said. "This is my fault. I brought this danger into your life. Stop. We're safe. You kept us safe. I should have been here. You came. That's what matters." She took his face in her hands. "I knew you would come. I never doubted it." He kissed her desperately, like he needed to prove to himself that she was really okay. She kissed him back just as hard. "I need you," he said against her lips. "I need to feel that you're alive, that you're here." She understood. After facing death, after violence and fear, they needed to reconnect, needed to feel alive. They made love with desperate urgency, not careful or gentle like usual, rough and intense, claiming each other, proving they had survived. He took her from behind, one hand on her hip, the other on her belly, protecting their son even now. She braced herself against the headboard, meeting his thrusts. It was primal and raw, and exactly what they both needed. When they climaxed together, she cried out his name. He groaned into her neck, holding her tight. They collapsed together, breathing hard. "I can't lose you," he said. "I can't lose either of you." "You won't. We're here. We're okay." But she knew something had changed. The attack had made the danger real, not theoretical anymore, real. Men had come into their home trying to kill her and their baby. That couldn't be forgotten or ignored. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now I make sure it never happens again. I'm pulling back from all the dangerous operations, focusing on legitimate business. I have enough money, enough power. I don't need the risk anymore." "Really?" "Really. You and our son are more important than any business. I'm choosing you. I'm choosing this life." She turned in his arms to look at him. "You mean it?" "I swear it. I'm done risking you, done bringing danger to our door. From now on, I protect what matters." She kissed him softly. "I love you." "I love you too. Both of you. More than anything." They stayed in bed all day, just holding each other, talking, planning, rebuilding the sense of safety that had been shattered. Mrs. Kang came by in the afternoon. She brought soup and sat with them. Didn't say much, just her presence was comforting. Over the next week, things slowly returned to normal. New security was installed. More guards hired. The penthouse became a fortress. But Zuri wasn't afraid anymore. She had faced the worst and survived. Her baby was safe. Her man was committed to her. They were building something strong enough to weather any storm. One night, 2 weeks after the attack, Dae-jung came to bed with something in his hand, a small box. "What's that?" she asked. He opened it. Inside was a ring, simple and beautiful, a diamond that caught the light. "Marry me," he said. "Not because of the baby or because we should, but because I love you. Because I want you as my wife. Because I want to build a forever with you." Tears filled her eyes. "Yes, yes, I'll marry you." He slid the ring on her finger. Then he kissed her, soft and sweet and full of promise. They made love again that night, slow and tender, celebrating their future, their family, their love. 8 months pregnant now. Her belly was huge, but Dae-jung still worshipped every inch of her body, still made her feel beautiful and desired and cherished. "1 more month," he said, his hand on her belly. "1 more month, and we get to meet him. I can't wait." "Neither can I." They fell asleep, tangled together, safe, loved, ready for whatever came next, because they had survived the worst, and they had survived it together. That had to mean something. That had to be worth everything. And it was. It really was. 3 weeks later, at 8 in the morning on a sunny Saturday, Zuri's water broke. She was standing in the kitchen making breakfast when she felt the gush of liquid. She looked down at the puddle on the floor in shock. "Dae-jung!" He came running from the bedroom, half-dressed. "What's wrong?" "My water just broke. The baby is coming." His face went pale. For a man who faced violence without flinching, the thought of childbirth apparently terrified him. But you're only 37 weeks. It's too early. It's fine. The doctor said 37 weeks is term. The baby is ready. Okay. We need to go to the hospital. Where's your bag? Did you pack a bag? We need your bag. She laughed despite the situation. The bag is by the door. You packed it 3 weeks ago. Remember? Right. He ran to get it, then ran back. Should you sit down? Can you walk? Should I carry you? I'm pregnant, not broken. I can walk. She grabbed his arm as a contraction hit. Her whole belly tightened. Pain rippled through her. She breathed through it like they taught in the birthing class. When it passed, Dae-jung looked even more pale. That looked like it hurt. That's kind of how labour works. Right. Hospital. We need to go to the hospital now. The drive to the hospital was chaos. Dae-jung drove too fast, ran a red light, nearly hit another car. Zuri gripped the door handle and tried not to panic. Slow down! You're going to kill us before the baby is even born. Sorry. He slowed down, slightly. His hands were white-knuckled on the steering wheel. At the hospital, everything moved fast. Nurses took her to a room, changed her into a gown, hooked her up to monitors. The baby's heartbeat filled the room, fast and strong. Dae-jung held her hand tight. His face was tense. Every time she had a contraction, he looked like he might throw up. You're worse than me, she said between contractions. And I'm the one actually in labour. I don't like seeing you in pain. Well, it's going to get worse before it gets better. It did get worse, much worse. The contractions came faster and stronger, pain like she had never experienced. Her whole body was working to push their baby out, and it hurt. Dae-jung stayed by her side the whole time, held her hand, wiped her face with a cold cloth, whispered encouragement in Korean and English. When she squeezed his hand hard enough to hurt, he didn't complain. You're doing amazing, he kept saying. So strong, so beautiful. I'm sweaty and swearing and probably look terrible. You look perfect. Hours passed. Zuri lost track of time. There was only pain and breathing and pushing. The doctor kept checking her progress. She was dilating slowly, too slowly. I can't do this, she said during a particularly bad contraction. It hurts too much. You can. You're the strongest person I know. Dae-jung kissed her forehead, just a little longer. Easy for you to say. You're not the one being ripped in half. Despite everything, he smiled. If I could take the pain for you, I would, I know. Mrs. Kang arrived around hour 10. She had been at her hotel when Dae-jung called her. She came into the room, took one look at Zuri's exhausted face, and started speaking rapid Korean to Dae-jung. My mother says you're doing well. He translated. She says I looked just as stubborn about being born. Took forever. Great. He gets that from you. Mrs. Kang actually smiled. She came to the other side of the bed and took Zuri's other hand. For the next few hours, both of them stayed with her, supporting her, encouraging her. Finally, after 18 hours of labour, the doctor said the words she had been waiting for. It's time to push. The next 30 minutes were brutal. Zuri pushed with everything she had, screaming, crying, gripping Dae-jung's hand so hard she was surprised she didn't break bones. I can see the head, the doctor said. One more big push. She gathered every bit of strength left in her body and pushed. There was pressure and pain, and then suddenly release. A baby's cry filled the room. It's a boy! The doctor announced. A healthy baby boy. Zuri collapsed back against the pillows, completely exhausted. But then, the doctor placed the baby on her chest, and nothing else mattered. He was here. Her son, their son. Perfect and screaming and covered in vernix, but absolutely perfect. She looked at Dae-jung through tears. He was crying too, actually crying, looking at their son with wonder on his face. We made him, she whispered. We made him, he agreed. The nurses cleaned the baby and checked him over. 8 pounds even, 19 inches long, all fingers and toes present, completely healthy despite being 3 weeks early. When they handed him back to Zuri, wrapped in a blue blanket, she fell completely in love. His eyes were closed. He had dark hair like his father. His skin was a beautiful mix of both their tones. He was the most beautiful thing she had ever seen. "Do you want to hold him?" she asked Dae-jung. He looked terrified. "I don't know how." "Sit down. I'll show you." He sat in the chair next to the bed. She carefully placed their son in his arms, showing him how to support the head. Dae-jung held the baby like he was made of glass, looking down at him with such love and awe that Zuri's heart felt too big for her chest. "Hello," Dae-jung said softly in Korean, then in English. "Hello, son. I'm your father. I've been waiting so long to meet you." The baby made a small sound. Dae-jung's face lit up. "He knows my voice. He's been hearing it for months. Of course he knows you." Mrs. Kang came closer, looking at her grandson. She said something in Korean, her voice soft. Dae-jung smiled and nodded. "She says he's beautiful, strong, perfect. He is perfect." They spent the next hour just staring at him, taking turns holding him, counting his tiny fingers and toes, marveling at this miracle they had created. Later, after the baby was sleeping in the hospital bassinet, after Zuri had been moved to a recovery room, Mrs. Kang approached her bedside. "You did good," she said. "Very strong. Give my son beautiful grandson." Coming from Mrs. Kang, it was high praise. Zuri felt tears well up again. Stupid hormones made her cry at everything. "Thank you for being here, for supporting us." Mrs. Kang patted her hand. "You are family now. Family supports family." She paused. "I was wrong about you. When I first came to California, I thought you were not good enough for my son. I was wrong. You are exactly what he needs. Strong, brave, good mother." The tears spilled over. "That means a lot to me. Rest now. Get strong. That baby will keep you busy." After Mrs. Kang left to get food, Dae-jung climbed carefully into the hospital bed with Zuri. It was a tight fit, but she didn't care. She needed him close. "We're parents," she said, still in disbelief. "We're parents," he agreed. "I can't believe he's real, that he's ours." "Believe it. He's going to keep us up all night and cost us a fortune and drive us crazy." "I can't wait." She turned to look at him. "I love you. I know I say it a lot, but I really, really love you." "I love you too. Thank you." "For what?" "For giving me this. A family, a son, a future I never thought I could have." He kissed her softly. "You gave me everything. We gave each other everything." They fell asleep like that, wrapped around each other, their son sleeping peacefully nearby, a family, finally complete. When Zuri woke up a few hours later, Dae-jung was standing by the bassinet, just watching their baby sleep. The afternoon sun came through the window, lighting both of them. Her two favourite people in the world. "What are you thinking?" she asked. He turned to her with a smile. "I'm thinking about all the violence in my life, all the terrible things I've done, and then I look at him and wonder how something so pure and perfect came from me. He came from both of us. He's the best of both of us. I want to be worthy of him, of both of you. You already are." The baby started crying then. Hungry, probably. The nurse came in and helped Zuri position him to breastfeed. It was awkward and strange at first, but eventually he latched on. Dae-jung watched in amazement. "That's incredible. It's natural. Women have been doing this forever. Still incredible." They spent 3 days in the hospital learning how to care for a newborn, how to change diapers and give baths, how to tell different types of cries apart. It was overwhelming and exhausting and wonderful. When they finally brought their son home to the penthouse, reality hit. This tiny human was completely dependent on them. They were responsible for keeping him alive and healthy and happy. "We can do this," Dae-jung said, carrying the car seat carefully. "We're smart. We can figure it out. We hope we can figure it out." That first night home was chaos. The baby cried constantly. They couldn't figure out what he wanted. By 3 a.m, both of them were exhausted and close to tears themselves. "Maybe he's hungry again," Zuri said. "You just fed him an hour ago." Babies eat a lot. So she fed him again, and it worked. He settled down and fell asleep. They looked at each other and laughed from relief. "We're going to make so many mistakes," Dae-jung said. "Probably, but we'll figure it out together." "Together," he agreed. Over the next weeks, they settled into a routine, or as much of a routine as you could have with a newborn. There were sleepless nights and endless diapers and moments of complete panic, but there were also moments of pure joy. The first smile, the first time he gripped Dae-jung's finger, the way he smelled after a bath. Mrs. Kang visited often, bringing Korean soup and advice. She taught Zuri traditional ways to care for a baby, showed Dae-jung how to properly hold him. She was still strict and traditional, but there was love underneath it all. One evening, when the baby was 6 weeks old, Zuri found Dae-jung in the nursery. He was holding their sleeping son, swaying gently, singing a Korean lullaby. She stood in the doorway, watching. Her heart felt so full it might burst. This was her family, her whole world in this room. Dae-jung looked up and saw her, smiled. "Did we wake you?" "No, I just wanted to see my 2 favourite people." He walked over and kissed her softly, their son between them, sleeping peacefully. "I never thought I could have this," Dae-jung said quietly. "The doctors told me it was impossible, but here he is, our impossible miracle. The best kind of miracle. I'm going to give him everything, the best schools, the best opportunities, a better life than I had. He doesn't need the best of everything. He just needs us, to be loved and safe and happy. He'll have all of that, I promise." They put the baby back in his crib and went to bed themselves. For the first time in weeks, he didn't wake up crying in the middle of the night. They got 6 whole hours of sleep. It felt like winning the lottery. The next morning, Zuri woke up to find Dae-jung gone and a note on his pillow. "Taking the baby for a walk. Wanted you to sleep. Back soon. Love you." She smiled and stretched. Sleep felt amazing. She got up, showered, made coffee. By the time they returned, she felt almost human again. Dae-jung came in, pushing the stroller, looking happy. "We went to the park. He slept the whole time, but people kept stopping to look at him. Apparently, he's very cute." "He's the cutest baby in the world, obviously." That afternoon, they got a surprise visitor, Zola, arriving from Tanzania. She had saved up for another trip to meet her nephew. When she saw the baby, she cried, "He's beautiful. He looks just like both of you." "Do you want to hold him?" Zuri offered. Zola took him carefully. "Hello, little one. I'm your Aunt Zola. I came all the way from Tanzania to meet you." The baby opened his eyes and looked at her. Zola laughed through her tears. "He's perfect. You made something perfect." That night, with her sister there, with her son sleeping peacefully, with Dae-jung by her side, Zuri felt complete. This was everything she never knew she wanted. A family built from love and choice and hope. It hadn't been easy. There had been danger and drama and doubt, but they had survived it all, together. And now they had this beautiful life and this beautiful baby. She looked at Dae-jung, and he looked back at her. No words needed, just understanding, just love. They had done it, against all odds. They had built something real and lasting and good, and it was only the beginning. 6 months after their son was born, life had found its rhythm. The baby was sleeping better. Zuri was recovering. Daejung had successfully transitioned most of his business into legitimate operations. They were building the life they had dreamed about. Today was special. Zuri's dance studio was opening. After months of planning and renovating, she was finally making her dream real. The studio was in a good neighborhood, safe and clean, with big windows and polished wood floors. Daejung had tried to buy her the building outright. She had refused. They compromised on him being a silent investor while she handled the business. It was her dream, and she wanted to build it herself. The grand opening was at 10 in the morning. By 9:30, the place was already filling with curious neighbors and potential students. Zuri stood in the middle of it all, their son on her hip, watching her dream come to life. Nervous? Daejung asked, coming up beside her, terrified. What if no one signs up? What if I'm terrible at running a business? You won't be. You're amazing at everything you do. He kissed her temple. And even if it fails, which it won't, we'll try something else. I've got you no matter what. I know. That's why I can take this risk. Mrs. Kang arrived with Zola. The two women had formed an unlikely friendship over their shared love for the baby. They were constantly sending each other photos and calling to check on him. The studio looks beautiful, Zola said, hugging her sister. I'm so proud of you. Mrs. Kang walked around, examining everything with critical eyes. Finally, she nodded. Very nice. Professional. You will do well. From Mrs. Kang, that was glowing praise. By noon, 15 families had signed up for classes. Young girls who wanted to learn dance, who wanted to feel strong and confident in their bodies. Exactly what Zuri had dreamed of teaching. That night, after closing the studio, they all went to dinner to celebrate. Mrs. Kang and Zola took turns holding the baby while Zuri and Daejung ate. I can't believe this is my life, Zuri said quietly. A year ago, I was dancing in a club. Now I own a studio, have a baby, have a family. Is it good? Daejung asked. It's perfect, better than I ever imagined. He reached across the table and took her hand. There's something I want to talk about. The baby is 6 months old now. You're recovered. Your studio is open. I think it's time we set a wedding date. Zuri's heart jumped. They had been engaged for months, but between the baby and everything else, they hadn't planned the actual wedding. You want to get married soon? I want to make you my wife officially. I want our son to see his parents married. I want to stand in front of everyone and declare that you're mine forever. Okay, let's do it. Let's get married. Mrs. Kang cleared her throat. If you wait until spring, I can plan proper wedding. Korean and Tanzanian traditions mixed. Very beautiful. Zola nodded enthusiastically. That sounds perfect. Spring is only 4 months away. We can plan something amazing. So they set a date. April 15th, spring in California. A small wedding with just close family and friends. Nothing huge or fancy. Just them making promises to each other that they had already been living. The next months flew by. The studio grew. More students signed up. Zuri hired 2 other instructors to help with classes. She taught in the evenings, spending mornings with the baby. Daejung continued transitioning his business. Some of his crew left, unwilling to go legitimate. Others stayed, loyal to him, no matter what. Sung-ho remained his right hand, now managing property investments instead of smuggling operations. Their son grew and changed every day. He started sitting up, then crawling, then pulling himself up on furniture. He had Daejung's serious eyes and Zuri's bright smile. He was bilingual already, responding to both Korean and English. Mrs. Kang stayed in California, unable to leave her grandson for long. She bought an apartment nearby and visited almost daily. She and Zuri had developed a real relationship, not just tolerance. They cooked together, talked about raising children, laughed over the baby's antics. Zola visited every few months. She had fallen in love with California and was considering moving there for nursing school. The family was growing, spreading roots, becoming solid. Then came the wedding day, April 15th, warm and sunny. perfect. The ceremony was in a small garden, decorated with flowers from both Tanzania and Korea, white and pink and purple everywhere. Zuri wore a dress that combined Western style with Tanzanian fabric. Daejung wore a traditional Korean hanbok. They looked like they came from different worlds, which they did, but they were creating their own world together. Their son sat in Mrs. Kang's lap during the ceremony, dressed in a tiny hanbok that matched his father's. He babbled happily, making everyone smile. When Daejung and Zuri stood facing each other, hands clasped, the world seemed to hold its breath. I knew from the first night I saw you that my life would never be the same, Daejung said. His voice was steady despite the emotion in his eyes. You gave me hope when I thought I had none. You gave me a family when I thought it was impossible. You gave me love when I didn't think I deserved it. I promised to protect you, to cherish you, to love you every day for the rest of my life. You are my miracle, both of you. Zuri wiped tears from her face. I was dancing for money in a club when you walked in and changed everything. You looked at me like I was worth something, like I mattered, and you've been looking at me that way ever since. You made me feel safe when I was scared, strong when I felt weak, loved when I felt alone. I promised to stand by you, to build this life with you, to love you through everything. You are my home, my family, my forever. They exchanged simple gold rings. Then they kissed, sealing the promises they had just made. Everyone cheered. The baby clapped his chubby hands. It was perfect. The reception was small and intimate. Good food, dancing, laughter. Zuri's studio students performed a dance they had choreographed for the occasion. Mrs. Kang and Zola gave speeches that made everyone cry. When it was time for the couple's first dance, Daejung pulled Zuri close. The song was slow and romantic. They swayed together, lost in each other. Mrs. Kang, he said with a smile. Finally, officially mine. I was always yours. The marriage certificate is just a formality. An important formality. He kissed her softly. I love you. I will love you until the day I die. And I'll love you beyond that. They danced until their son decided he wanted to join them. Daejung picked him up and the three of them danced together. A family, complete and happy and real. That night, after the wedding, after putting their exhausted son to bed, they finally had time alone. Zuri stood on the balcony of their penthouse, looking out at the California skyline. Daejung came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist. Happy? He asked, incredibly happy. You? More than I ever thought possible. He turned her around to face him. Thank you. For what? For saying yes that first night. For calling me. For choosing me. For staying when it got hard. For giving me everything I ever wanted. You gave me everything too. He kissed her then, slow and deep, a promise. When they broke apart, both breathing harder, he smiled. Come to bed, wife. Lead the way, husband. They made love that night differently than ever before, not desperate or urgent, not scared or needing to prove anything, just two people who loved each other completely, celebrating their union. He touched her like she was precious. She touched him like he was everything. They moved together with perfect rhythm, years of learning each other's bodies showing in every touch. When they climaxed together, they held each other's eyes, connected completely, body and soul. Afterward, lying tangled together in the dark, Zuri felt peace, deep and real. This was where she belonged. This was home. What are you thinking? Daejung asked, his fingers trailing patterns on her bare back. I'm thinking about that rainy Thursday night when you walked into Velvet Nights. I'm thinking about how one moment changed everything, how we created this impossible life from one night of connection. Best night of my life. Mine too, even though I was terrified. Of me, of how much I wanted you, how fast I was falling. She looked up at him. I fell in love with you that first night. It took me weeks to admit it, but I knew too. The moment you touched my hand and didn't pull away. The moment you laughed at my serious face. I was done for. They fell asleep, wrapped around each other, at peace, at home. The years that followed were full of joy and challenges. They had 2 more children, another boy and a girl. The studio expanded to 3 locations. Dae-jung built a successful, legitimate business empire. They bought a house in the suburbs with a yard for the kids to play. But through it all, the connection between them never faded. They still made time for each other, date nights, stolen moments when the kids were asleep. They still looked at each other across rooms and felt that spark. Their oldest son grew up strong and confident, fluent in 3 languages, talented at both dance and business. Their other children followed, each unique, but all loved equally. Mrs. Kang became a permanent fixture, the grandmother who spoiled her grandchildren and taught them Korean traditions. Zola moved to California and became part of their daily lives, the aunt who took the kids for weekends and taught them about their Tanzanian heritage. It was messy and chaotic and perfect. Everything Zuri and Dae-jung had built together, a family, a life, a forever. On their 10th wedding anniversary, they returned to the garden where they had married, just the 2 of them, leaving the kids with Mrs. Kang and Zola. 10 years, Zuri said, holding his hand. Can you believe it? Best 10 years of my life. Even the hard parts, especially the hard parts, they made us stronger. He pulled her close. I would do it all again, every moment, every challenge, just to end up here with you. Me too. I love you, Kang Dae-jung. I love you, Mrs. Kang. They kissed in the same spot where they had made their vows 10 years earlier, still in love, still choosing each other, still building their forever. Because some love stories are impossible, some connections shouldn't work, some families are built from chaos and chance, but theirs worked, against all odds, against every expectation, against logic itself. Their love was real, their family was solid, their forever was just beginning, and they had never looked back. If you loved this story of Dae-jung and Zuri's impossible romance, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more emotional love stories that will keep you hooked. Hit that like button if you enjoyed their journey from one night to forever, and drop a comment telling us what your favourite moment was. We read every single one, and your support helps us bring you more amazing content.